Election headquarters. Here's Fred Childers with This Week in Louisiana Politics.
Welcome, everyone. I'm Fred Childers. I hope you're enjoying this beautiful weekend. Thanks for joining us for This Week in Louisiana Politics on your local election headquarters. We have some controversy. Louisiana Governor Jeff Landry sent letters Tuesday to 4 higher education systems and the Board of Regents calling for a new policy after the LSU women's basketball team missed the national anthem before tip-off at Monday's Elite 8 game. Renee Skinner breaks down the controversy.
The national anthem is as much a part of American sports as is the actual game that's being played.
Governor Jeff Landry sounding off on Fox News, saying college athletes should respect the national anthem or get their scholarships stripped away.
If you don't like it, well, guess what? You don't have to play the sport.
His fiery comments sparked after a clip showing the LSU Lady Tigers missing from the court during the Star Spangled Banner.
Listen, that's nothing intentionally done.
Head coach Kim Mulkey said this when asked why.
I don't even know when the anthem was played. We kind of have a routine where we are on the floor and then they come off at the 12-minute mark. That's when we just, I don't know, we come in and we do our pregame stuff.
Pregame or not, the governor wasn't buying it. Now asking the Louisiana Board of Regents, as well as LSU, Southern, UL, and the Louisiana Community and Technical College system to adopt policies on the issue.
And the fact that there is not a policy that says, listen, these players are going to be out there and respect the flag and respect those that go out there and protect us is really disrespectful in and of itself.
Ultimately, an argument for the ages, this time reaching college campuses. Should athletes be present and stand for the Star Spangled Banner?
In order to be truly united, in order to truly have civics and civility, we all need to be united under one flag and respect that anthem.
In a statement, an LSU spokesperson says the school's basketball teams have not been on the court for the national anthem for several seasons. The Louisiana Democratic Party also responding, saying, quote, the governor is engaging in divisive rhetoric that deepen rifts within our community.
That was Renee Skinner reporting. Interesting. Once again, some public records could soon become not so public. State Senator Heather Cloud filed the most recent restrictive public records bill, which would make off limits certain opinions or recommendations by state government officials, essentially creating exemptions for those open records laws. It would also withhold certain security details related to Governor Landry and his family for the stated purpose of keeping them safe. Critics of the bill call it alarming and say it'll create secrecy within state governmental institutions. We'll keep an eye on this bill's progress. The governor is pushing for a bill that would allow students wanting to go to private school to use taxpayer dollars to do so. The Education Savings Account bill is advancing in the legislature, and Shannon Hecht breaks it all down for us.
The big question for the Education Savings Account program is how much is it really going to cost the state? Some fear that it's going to lead to cuts on the local level for public schools. Others say that there are guardrails in place for the legislature to determine how much money should go into these accounts. The so-called Gator program will allow families to apply for money from the state to put their kids into private schools of their choice.
This is about helping kids get a better education. The best education for them.
Lawmakers have been trying to pass a version of this bill for years. The bill is estimated to cost between $298 million a year once it's opened up to everyone. But some project it costing upwards of $500 million a year.
You have to either be willing to raise that amount in new taxes, or you have to take that from somewhere else in the budget.
The School Board Association wants to have tests in place to prove that students would actually benefit from this program.
When we spend that kind of money, we have to have true accountability.
Some advocacy groups fear that students in public schools will move to the private schools and take away MFP dollars with them. There is also a concern that students who can already afford private school will take funds away from low-income students. Lawmakers push back against the financial concerns, saying the bill states the legislature will determine how much money will be put into the program.
Our responsibility is solely to decide if we have the ability to fund this. If we don't, then no students will receive these dollars.
The bill saw a bipartisan vote for both the yeses and nos. It now heads to the full House for more debate. For your local election headquarters, I'm Shannon Hecht.
A lawmaker is trying to get menstrual products free for students in school, but the bill has hit roadblocks in years past. This year, however, there is hope it could be different. House Bill 310 would put state money to schools so they can buy tampons and pads to leave in accessible places for kids to get without having to go to the nurse's office. State Representative Amy Freeman has brought the bill 3 years in a row, but the final debate never came to fruition despite wide support. She brought young girls to the Capitol to explain how important the issue is.
Well, there are people that just don't at all have access to any sanitary products at home. Like, they're not just forgetting them, they just can't have any. That's not right, and everyone should have access to that because it is health care.
Schools would not be mandated to provide the products unless the legislature puts money towards the program. It is estimated to cost about $712,000 a year. The bill now goes to the Appropriations Committee to talk about the costs. State lawmakers will also take up legislation to protect in vitro fertilization. This is in response to the controversial Alabama ruling. The Alabama court equated frozen embryos to children, halting fertility treatment in the state. Now, 2 Louisiana state representatives are filing a bill shielding physicians, hospitals, and fertility clinics who offer IVF, giving them immunity from prosecution and civil penalties. The first hearing for the bill is scheduled early next week. And a bill is advancing in the legislature to require all public schools to display the 10 Commandments in the classrooms. Some say it teaches good morals, while others say it violates the Constitution. Shannon Hecht is back with the latest on this effort.
The bill would require public schools to display the 10 Commandments in their classrooms. And while the bill did get out of committee, it faces more challenges, as no other state has been able to pass a bill like this, and it faces Supreme Court decisions. HB 71 requires a poster-sized display of the 10 Commandments in all public classrooms. The posters would be funded by private donations, and teachers wouldn't be required to teach about them. But some took issue with the need for separation of church and state.
Do we believe that imposing a Christian value that comes from the 10 Commandments on our Muslim friends or our Islamic friends or our atheist students is the proper thing to do?
The Supreme Court has ruled in the past against posting the 10 Commandments in schools. In the case of Stone v. Graham in 1980, the court said it had no secular legislative purpose and was plainly religious in nature. Horton claims multiple religions follow the 10 Commandments.
I beg to differ that this is just Christian, but I have no qualms if it was. This is not preaching a Christian religion. It's not preaching any religion. It's teaching a moral code.
No other state has been able to pass similar legislation. And despite constitutionality being in question, the bill passed 10-2. The bill now heads to the full House for more debate. At the Capitol for your local election headquarters, I'm Shannon Hecht.
Another bill has been introduced involving what information would need to be disclosed when donating blood. The bill would require you to provide your vaccination history before a blood donation or transfusion. It would also allow the recipient to have the option to request a certain blood type in a non-emergency transfusion. The state's health department would be responsible for creating rules and regulations for the proposed bill. If passed, it would go into effect on September 1st. A Jewish organization out of New Orleans is fighting back against a new Louisiana law with the help of a state senator. They say an added way of execution and the death penalty is eerily similar to how Jews were killed during the Holocaust. Britt LaFaso reports.
It feels like this is not my state.
Jacqueline Stern is part of a newly formed coalition, Jews Against Gassing. Their goal, stop nitrogen gas from being used to execute death row inmates.
People who are not Jewish, they don't have that visceral reaction that we have.
Millions of Jews were killed in gas chambers during the Holocaust. Stern explains a sizable group of survivors settled down in New Orleans. While the Jewish population may be small in Louisiana today, Stern says there is a vibrant Jewish community.
Of course, almost all of us have had someone in our family that was killed in the concentration camps. And it does strike a chord that is very unpleasant and not okay. It's intolerable for me and for other Jews.
Stern says the group does not oppose the death penalty, but instead the use of gas as a form of execution.
I immediately flashed to the concentration camps. I have been in them, seen the gas chambers, and there wasn't more than a second when I went straight to what I had seen, the gas chambers.
Stern adds Louisiana does not have Jewish senators, and there was no one to represent Jews as the bill was passing. Senator Katrina Jackson Andrews is now filing Senate Bill 430 to remove nitrogen gas as a method of execution.
Hopefully there's empathy about this for Jews who live in this state.
Britt LaFaso reporting. One corner in St. Tammany Parish faces sharp criticism, while the East Baton Rouge Parish coroner gives a disturbing prediction concerning drug-related deaths in Baton Rouge. That's next.